Hello and welcome to Trekkin in Vegas. I am Goldie.Vegas.
And I'm Stephen Biggs.
We are live from the GoLive.Vegas studios right here in the heart of fabulous Las Vegas. And I just want to mention there are a lot of different ways to watch us on our podcast, which is the last Sunday of every month. You can see us on my personal YouTube channel, Goldie.Vegas. You can also join our Facebook group, Trekkin in Vegas, where we are live. We're live on TikTok on Goldie.Vegas as well as GoLive.Vegas. And then you can also download the GoLive.Vegas app where you can hear the audio of the show as well as the all 80s, all the time music live stream. So anyway, today's episode, we're going to talk about some ways that you, the viewer and listener, can participate in our podcast. We're also going to tell you all a little bit about ourselves. Stephen and I both have an interesting history in the Star Trek community. We do have John Paladin standing by. He is a very well-known makeup artist in the Star Trek community. And so he's going to be talking to us a little bit about his experiences with Star Trek. We're going to be talking about some of the new series as well as some of our favorite episodes. And we're going to have a trivia contest where you have a chance to win a beautiful Klingon Bird of Prey commemorative Star Trek plate. And then we're going to talk about an event that we have coming up at the end of July. So, Stephen, are you excited?
I am very excited.
Me too. I love talking Trek.
Oh, ask anyone that I knew in high school, and they'll tell you just how much I love talking about Star Trek.
Awesome. Well, we want to give a shout out to The Nerd. They are hosting a watch party in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street and Las Vegas Boulevard inside the Neonopolis building, which actually has a pretty cool history in the world of Star Trek.
Yeah, cool. Well, that might be a reach. But,
cool or tragic.
Yeah, cool or tragic. That might be, depending on your point of view. After Star Trek The Experience closed, there was a developer that was involved with Neonopolis who basically made a deal with CBS at the time. CBS had the rights to Star Trek and the leftover props and costumes and stuff from The Experience, with the idea that they were going to open up a new experience in Neonopolis. Well, we're still waiting.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Maybe it'll still happen. We'll see what.
Yeah.
We'll see what the future holds.
Indeed. But about 2 or 3 years after The Experience closed, they just, CBS decided, well, okay, apparently it's not going to happen. So what they did do is have an auction for all of the existing props and costumes and different things that were part of The Experience, and basically had an auction for that stuff. Where actually people could just come down to the warehouse that they had stored all that and basically make them an offer, and then everything else kind of went to another prop auction house. But a lot of the original cast got their old costumes back, and did you?
What?
Never mind.
Oh.
That's it.
Oh my goodness, how did that get there? Where did that come from? A tribble out of nowhere.
Oh, if we have one.
I hope there's not a tribble infestation.
I don't know. We'll find. Just don't feed it.
So, we were talking a little bit about Star Trek The Experience. For those of you who don't know, Las Vegas was home to Star Trek The Experience for over a decade, right?
Yeah, from January 4th, 1998 to Labor Day weekend, 2008.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
And what Star Trek The Experience was, it was an amusement park, basically a Star Trek themed amusement park. There was the Museum of the History of the Future,
Yeah.
which was all about the history of Star Trek, like the timeline, and they had a Quarks bar and the Borg invasion and
the Klingon encounter,
the
which was
Klingon
the first attraction.
Yeah, and they had aliens walking around like Borg drones and fearsome Klingon warriors.
Indeed.
And so Stephen was a Klingon at Star Trek The Experience.
Yes, actually, a lot of my friends, especially the ones in California, a lot of whom, weren't able to make it out here, they always get a kick every time I say, there's a picture of me in my civilian outfit.
Yeah, looking good.
Oh, thanks. And then there is me as Kralk, son of Tanek, with General Motog. And yeah, so my friends that I talk about the experience with, I always start out with, well, back when I was a Klingon, and then they always get a big laugh and buy me a drink. So it's all good.
Well, so you said that you were always a Trekkie. When was the moment that you were like, this is for me, I am a Trekkie?
Oh, yeah, I am old enough to have been around when the original series was first on television. Sadly, it originally played on Thursday nights opposite Bewitched, and Bewitched was already a known commodity and a family favorite. So I didn't actually watch the original series until summer reruns.
Oh,
and the first episode was Miri.
Oh, okay.
And then we just were like, what? I mean, that grup disease thing. We were just like, oh, anytime we'd find mud or something out, we'd like, oh, look, I got the grup disease.
That was a great episode.
And then obviously, strangely enough, because I was just a kid, we were all just kids there. We had to beg to stay up late enough to watch the full episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so when it moved to Friday nights, it killed the series, but it did allow us, because the next day wasn't a school day, it did allow us to stay up and watch all the episodes first run.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I am a child of the 80s. I was born in 76, so I wasn't around for TOS.
Oh, the year I graduated high school.
No, that happened to me yesterday, honestly. Anyway. So I always thought Star Trek was cool. I always liked, stuff like Conan the Barbarian and that kind of stuff, like fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
I always liked sci-fi, and I always thought Star Trek was cool. And I remember seeing, I think it was Star Trek 6. I saw that in the movie theaters. And then when Deep Space Nine came out, Jadzia Dax was my favorite character, and that's when I was like, okay, this is for me. I'm a Trekkie. So I got my Klingon dictionary, and I left on our voicemail recorder.
Mm-hmm.
I had like a Klingon message.
Oh, nice.
But like, what a cool experience for you as a Trekkie to grow up and become a Klingon at Star Trek: The Experience.
Yeah, it was. I was married at the time, and I was in Southern California, and my ex-wife and I were both doing shows and stuff. And at that time there was a kind of a casting newspaper called Dramalog, and one day we're thumbing through Dramalog, and there's a full-page ad that basically said, come audition, be an alien, be a Starfleet crew member at Star Trek: The Experience in Vegas. And I had vaguely heard about this, through like the magazine Starlog and some other fan magazines. This was all in the day pre-internet, right? And so I was like, oh man, I'd really like to, but it's in Las Vegas. And my ex-wife actually is the one that said, no, you got to go. You're going to kick yourself if you don't go. So I did, and it was a crazy audition. They had us do a lot of improv, games and stuff. I went out there with a friend who also wanted to be in it. They basically offered him a bartending job, and he was like, "No, forget it." And I originally was cast as what they called the Blue Crew, which were the people that basically loaded you into the shuttle ride at the beginning of the Klingon encounter. Yes. That, as we find out later, is only the first stop on the Klingon encounter visit. And then they asked me to be a production lead, which is kind of analogous to a stage manager. And then when we had an opening in the Alien Ambassadors, I was like, I really want to do that. And they're like, well, it means a pay cut. And I was like, I kind of don't care.
That's cool.
And yeah, there was a bunch of us, I would say about half the original cast of the Experience were Trekkies. So anytime you'd be walking through and they were putting all the merch in the shops and stuff, we would just be walking by the window going, oh, this is going to be a dangerous place for me to work.
Right.
It's like, well, there goes that paycheck and there goes that paycheck. So yeah, it was for being a Trekkie and getting paid good Viacom money at the time strap on a rubber forehead and 40 pounds of leather and spandex and annoy
awesome.
tourists eating their dead cooked food.
Yeah.
Was-
What an amazing experience.
At the experience, yeah.
So, the experience. So I was living in New Orleans in 2005 and was affected by Hurricane Katrina and relocated to Sedona, Arizona. And Sedona is pretty close to Vegas, so I came to Vegas in the summer of 2006. And I told my friend, I was like, oh, would you mind if we stop by this thing at Star Trek The Experience? And she's like, yes, I love Star Trek.
Oh, awesome.
So we went to Quark's Bar. We have a picture. This was my first time at Quark's Bar, and I hit the gift shop, so I'm wearing a Bajoran nose and a Rise Is for Lovers t-shirt, which I still have both of those things, and I still wear them. That was in 2006. That's my friend Stacy, and we're drinking a big fishbowl drink. Do you know what that cocktail was?
That,
was
I
blue?
believe, is the... Oh, because I was going to say, is it the James T. Kirk?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the
Yeah.
James T. I remember that. And, it just happened to be the Star Trek convention. And I'm pretty sure that, like, years later, I met that guy in the background. I don't know. But, I met some Trekkies that day, and we're still friends now. And since I moved to Las Vegas in 2009, I've become a regular at that convention. I've done a lot of different cosplay. The picture that is shown is me as a Borg drone with April and Nicole. They are Orions, and they both worked at Star Trek The Experience.
Yeah.
So when I came to Las Vegas, I went to culinary school and graduated in 2009, and I said, well, I want to make new friends. So I joined the USS Las Vegas Star Trek fan club, which I'm still a member of today.
Nice.
And my very first meeting, they had a bunch of actors from Star Trek The Experience. And so Vernon was there. I met Dave and Alicia Ivy. Like, I met all of these people that I just instantly became friends with, and I'm still friends with a lot of y'all,
Yeah.
today. I saw Dave and Alicia this weekend.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
They just got back from, like, Antarctica.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. It sounds like Andoria, right? I'd have to
Yeah.
take cosplay for that trip.
You don't have to worry about putting on the blue makeup. You just automatically turn blue.
Right. So what was your first convention?
My first convention was, again, way back in the day. And I believe it was at the Airport Sheraton in Los Angeles. And my mom and my aunt dropped me off. And again, I was probably still either in junior high or high school when this happened.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
and I know that my aunt saw this guy walking up. I believe he was an Andorian. Stops in front of the glass door there and checks out his reflection, and then pulls down his pants to get himself all smooth. And my aunt was like, "Oh boy, we're really leaving him here by himself." and I was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome.
And then after Star Trek 4 came out, The Voyage Home, I actually kind of stopped going to Star Trek conventions just because you kind of hear the same stories over and over, and you see the same merchandise in the dealer's room and all this. And so it really wasn't until I was working at the Experience and they Creation Convention finally got their deal at the Las Vegas Hilton at the time. Now it's the Westgate. In 2002, and that was the first time I'd gone back to a Star Trek convention.
Nice.
But I was getting paid to do it.
That's very cool.
Yeah, put on a rubber forehead and the 40 pounds of leather and spandex.
Oh man, wouldn't it be amazing if they reopened Star Trek The Experience?
Yeah.
I'd be there every weekend.
I know, right? I have a couple of friends that specifically moved here.
Yeah.
Because the Experience was
I
here.
was telling somebody that recently. A lot of people moved here because of Star Trek The Experience.
Yeah.
So do you have a story that you could tell about one of your favorite experiences with a Star Trek actor?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that 2002 convention, J.G. Hertzler, who played General Martok on Deep Space Nine, we just saw him in civilian clothes, and it was me as Kralk, son of Tanek.
Nice.
I'll explain that there's a joke in that name, but we'll get there in a minute. And Major Kalin were kind of patrolling the dealer's room, and
Nice.
John Hertzler was in his civilian clothes, and as we're going past, we hear he goes, "Magnificent."
Nice.
And Major Kalin looked at him and she said, "Shouldn't you be saying that to Sorella?" And he goes, "Well, Sorella's not here."
That's amazing.
And then as we kept going down, another fan was like, was like, well, where's your Klingon uniform? And he was like, well, I'm just an actor. Those are the real thing. And we were like, yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And we had a couple of, I mean, most of my experiences with the actors on the various Star Trek shows were very positive. Nice. And especially people like Armin Shimmerman, J.G. Hertzler, who I've actually had dinner with a couple of times, Vaughn Armstrong, Nana Visitor, Robert Picardo. Those folks are always really great when they came through.
Yeah, it's such a cool experience going to the Star Trek conventions that you get to meet the actors of your favorite TV shows.
Yeah, yeah. And when the experience was open, they would often come over and, have dinner and stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of pictures. There's a picture of me dressed as an Andorian where I'm in blue body paint. Well, that's Orion. I was an Orion. Oh, okay, no, that's the preview. Okay, there's one of my Orion nights. This is a good one.
Oh, this is Picardo,
this is
right?
Robert Picardo.
Yeah.
That's me as an Andorian in my Starfleet or my Cheerfleet uniform. We had a big group of cheerleaders one year. Here's another one coming up. That's me and Aaron Eisenberg, he was one of my favorite people at the convention. This was probably 2010. I was hanging out in the Space Quest Casino talking to Aaron Eisenberg. He's like, oh, I'm Aaron Eisenberg. I was Nog on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I was like, duh, we're at a Star Trek convention. Like, I'm dressed like a Dabo girl. Of course I know who you are. And we became friends. I don't have the picture with me today, but there is a picture of me and my friend Melissa. We dressed as Ferengi females. And because Ferengi females aren't allowed to wear clothing, we had censor bars. And we bought the Ferengi photo op with Armin Shimmerman, Aaron Eisenberg, and
Max Grodinchik.
Max Grodinchik, yes. So we walked up, and Aaron Eisenberg was like, Goldie, is that you? I'm like, yes. It's so cool that he knows who I am. And then there's another one coming up of me and William Shatner. And I did my own version of Shauna from Gamesters of Triskelion. And I think that Shatner was just zoned out because like hundreds of people stand in line to get their picture with Shatner.
Yeah.
And so I'm like standing in line waiting for my turn. So I walk up in like this tiny bikini and I stand like right next to him and take my picture and I walk away. And there's like all the people standing in line are, standing right in front of us. And the whole crowd just started laughing. And later somebody was like, well, when you walked away, it was like Shatner was like, what just happened? Like he saw me walking away in this tiny bikini and like woke up all of a sudden. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So one of the things we wanted to kind of talk about on our first episode was the evolution of the Klingon makeup because it has really undergone like the biggest evolution of any character in Star Trek.
Yeah.
They basically started out with face paint and goatees.
Yeah.
And now they're just so alien. They're just probably like the most alien of aliens that you can get without CGI, really.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, we'll get there, but for Discovery, they also wanted to actually do some CGI stuff with the eyes, but just ran out of time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Klingons in Discovery and the new newer J.J. Abrams movies, they're just so Klingon, and I loved how in Discovery they really used the Klingon language a lot. To really take you into that space of being, in a Klingon ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of really interesting ideas going on there, and when we talk to John, we'll probably go into this a little bit more, but basically. It was the same makeup designer for the Abrams movies that went into Discovery.
You can tell, yeah. I didn't know that, but
yeah,
you can tell.
And just every time he was like, okay, what kind of budget do we have for that? Okay, so can we do this with it? Can we do, that? And what they wanted to do with the bald Klingons in Discovery was make them, of course, super alien. And they said that if you look close, you'll see. Much like snakes have like heat sensor things, that you see these little heat sensor pods running down the back of the head.
That's interesting.
The idea being that, Klingons sort of have eyes in the back of their head.
Oh. But then they grow their hair long.
They did.
I love that when they did that in Discovery. There's like, I heard the Klingons are now wearing their hair long or something. Ash says something about that. And it's so beautiful. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because I have a friend who absolutely hates the Klingon design on Discovery.
Yeah. And
he says they look like Xindi. They look too alien. Especially based on everything that came before.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I said, in a sense, I agree with you, but when they started growing their hair out, they began to look more like
to the TNG.
Yeah.
Well, and like much like humans, we don't all look the same.
Right.
So I think that it makes sense that the Klingons might not all look the same.
Right. And they haven't looked the same even in the original series. For the episode Trouble with Tribbles was the second kind of major Klingon arc, and Fred Phillips, who designed the makeup on the original series, his reference pictures from Errand of Mercy were apparently some of the early test makeups, and that's why the Klingons in Trouble with Tribbles look a little bit different than the ones in Errand and Mercy.
Yeah.
And that was their explanation, well, like humans, there's different Klingon races. And they're like, yeah. And, of course, back before the Internet, back before you had the hate wheel that would spin on itself, everyone just came up with their own headcanon just to make that stuff work.
Yeah.
There's inconsistencies? Okay, well, it's probably because blah, blah, blah. And we just, figured it out.
Yeah. Now there's basically an encyclopedia of everything Star Trek. So.
Yeah. And and like I say, there's the cycle of hate that, just 5 billion YouTube clips. This is why this sucks. It's like, well, okay, that's one thing you can do. Or the other thing you can do is, this is different. How can this work in my headcanon as opposed to, it just sucks.
Well, like I always say, I love all things Trek, and I'm just thankful that we have new Trek.
Oh yeah.
But I'll tell you, the first first round of Star Trek Discovery, it took me a couple of seasons to really get into it. Not till season 3 did it really click for me. Yeah. But then I went back and rewatched season 1 and 2, and I was like, this is really good. Like, I don't know what my problem was. I think it's just sometimes it's just so different.
Yeah.
That you just have to get used to the new series or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, all of us old schoolers, we had that same thing when the motion picture came out. We're like, these are Klingons? Okay, with the bony brow ridge thing and all that. And we're like, okay. And then, we just accepted it because, of course, the real explanation for why they're different is better makeup budget.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And even though these people are, and again, John can probably talk to this, even though these people are basically work for hire, all the makeup designers, their stuff is still copyrighted. So, if we wanted to continue doing the Michael Westmore Klingons from Next Gen and Deep Space Nine and et cetera, not only would you have to pay your current makeup designer, you'd also have to pay Michael Westmore.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So do you have any favorite Klingons?
I just watched the Day of the Dove episode in prep for this, and Michael Ansara is just so good. And, of course, when I was walking around as Kralk, they would have their clip videos.
Wait, Day of the Dove.
That's the one where where basically there's this alien entity kind of manipulating the Klingons and the Federation characters to continually fight, and even when they get killed, they come back to life and fight some more. And so
I have a terrible memory. That sounds familiar, but I haven't seen it lately. Yeah. One of my all-time favorite Klingons is Christopher Plummer in Star Trek 6.
Yeah.
Love that. I love how he has got the bolted eye patch just bolted into his skull.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And then we were talking about this the other day. The one with the 80s rock and roll hair.
Oh, yeah, Claw. From
was that
Voyager?
4?
No, The Final Frontier. 5.
5, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so something that I have watched recently was Star Trek of Gods and Men, which is a very highly acclaimed fan film on YouTube. And it's about an hour-and-a-half film. It actually stars a lot of the original actors from Star Trek. So Nichelle Nichols, I really enjoyed her performance in that.
Nice.
Walter Koenig was in it. Tim Russ. Chase Masterson as an Orion. She was awesome. Garrett Wong. I loved his evil like alternate mirror universe look. Like, if you guys haven't seen Star Trek of Gods and Men, it's very good.
It's on
really
YouTube,
good.
right?
It's on YouTube. And then, of course, if you have YouTube Premium, you don't have to watch the commercials.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. And actually, our guest today, Mr. John Paladin, who I know him from just like walking around the convention. He always says hi to me, and he did the makeup for Star Trek of Gods and Men, and he does the makeup at the convention for a lot of people. And I think it's like J.G. Hertzler. Anytime J.G. Hertzler puts on a Klingon costume at a convention, John is right there applying his makeup. So let's see if we can get John on here and talk a little bit about the projects that he's worked on and the techniques that he's used. Because I know you did your own makeup at Star Trek The Experience.
We did. Michael Westmore came in and I mean, we can explain how that all worked. Basically, the forehead piece didn't require any spirit gum or anything like that to attach. It basically worked like a helmet. So the rubber forehead was here, and I think there's I sent in a picture of me like halfway through the makeup process. There.
You look like one of the original Klingons in that shot, like you're about to start spouting Shakespeare or something.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, my friend Mark took that picture, and this picture here is a very early Steve as Kralk picture. I hadn't even.
This very cool picture.
I hadn't even actually grown the beard in completely, so we had to get in there with a stipple brush, and then this shot coming up is my beauty shot.
Very nice.
That's Kralk's headshot, and he has to, apply for a warrior position. Oh, here's my headshot for Klingon Shakespeare. It's his headshot.
Very cool. Yeah, I would love to do a Klingon costume someday. I don't know. I have no idea where to start with that stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like I say, it's hard latex, and then the wig is attached to the headpiece, and so once you get the front on, you just pull the back, and at least my forehead just like really just sucked to my actual forehead.
Yeah.
And so the only touch up I had to do on it was occasionally parts of it would rub the face makeup off, and so we go in on break and just touch that.
And that's
up.
just a water based.
Yeah.
Like the body paint the Andorians use.
And it actually is again, just because we had connections at Paramount CBS, it actually was the Klingon makeup that they used in the series.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so our base makeup was KN5.
Very nice. That's amazing. So were we able to get John on here? Oh, okay. He's
Okay, well we told him 4:30/7:30.
We'll see what happens. Let's wave at him. Yeah. Oh, there he goes.
Okay.
Hello, welcome. Can you hear us?
Oop.
I don't think he can hear us. Okay. Well, while we're trying to get John on, do you have any favorite Klingon episodes?
Yes.
Lots?
I do, actually. So, of course, the main 3 original series episodes, the Errand of Mercy, where we got introduced to Core, Trouble with Tribbles, which, of course, is just almost everyone's favorite Star Trek episode.
Iconic.
And then Day of the Dove, because that introduced kind of the 3 main Klingons. And then, so those always just kind of set the mold, and like I said, I just did a rewatch of those, and it was like, these are so good, and especially Kolikos as Core, just I mean, for one thing, he and Fred Phillips are kind of the ones that designed the Klingon look, because Fred Phillips got the script, and he was just sitting there, goes, what does a Klingon look like? I have no idea. And Kolikos was there, and he goes, well, he's kind of a warrior, so Genghis Khan with sort of vaguely Eastern European or Eastern European with I don't know. And he goes, okay, well, I can work with that. Oh, and Fu Manchu, the evil Dr. Fu Manchu. And Phillips was like, "Oh, okay, I can work something with that."
Hence the catfish mustache.
Yeah, the catfish mustache. Yeah.
So, a couple of my favorite Klingon episodes happen to be series premieres.
Oh.
And they're two of my favorite series premieres. One is Star Trek Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love the series premiere. I've always said that that's one of my favorite series premieres.
Oh yeah, it seemed like they hit the ground running with that episode. So,
yeah, that was such a great episode. I love Captain Archer. I think he's such a great captain. He's does such a great job. And then I also like the series premiere for Discovery, where she goes to the Klingon ship and is like covered in dead bodies of like Klingon warriors. So anyway, we have John Paladin. We're going to talk a little bit about his experiences with Star Trek. Hello, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you. My co-host Steven was a Klingon at Star Trek The Experience, and we were talking a little bit about his makeup that he did at Star Trek The Experience. And we know that you have a lot of experience doing makeup for J.G. Hertzler and, of course, of Gods and Men. And so we just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today.
Okay.
Well, so how'd you get involved with Of Gods and Men?
I got a call from JG, and this was before I had ever done his makeup at all, or Robert O'Reilly. And he said, "You're going to get a call from the producer of Gods and Men, Guy Conway, and he wants me in the movie, but he doesn't want Martok. He wants something completely different from Martok. They don't want anybody to do this." Oh, there's JG. That's Martok. That's okay. He said, they want me in it. I told them that I would do it, but they had to bring you on as my makeup artist. I don't want anybody else to touch me. I had never done his makeup before. So that's how that all started.
Cool. So you had been working with John Hertzler before Of Gods and Men?
No.
No?
No, that was the odd thing about it. I had never done his makeup before, and he said, "I'll do it. I'll do the makeup, and John can give you what you want." You have to bring him on as my makeup artist. I don't want anybody else to touch me.
No. Okay.
And I did. And they wanted someone who is completely different. And Sky called me. He said, "Do you remember that one Klingon in the movie where they were looking for Spock?" And I said, "Yeah, I know what you're looking for. You're looking for crew." And he said, "Yeah, that's it. That's the one I want." "Can you do that?" I said, Yeah, I can do that. When I was in a fan club, that's the character that I did. So I already had the forehead piece, and that's how that all started.
Wow. So, what made you kind of the go-to guy for the conventions?
After Men, Bob and JD decided that they wanted to do the makeup at the conventions, and they approached me and said, "Okay, you want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah," and that's how that started.
Cool. And how long have you been doing that now?
It's close to 15 years.
Yeah. Do you do any other makeups at the convention besides Klingons?
Well, let's see. I do Chase Masterson, Robin Curtis. We put her in the Sonic makeup.
Nice.
And Casey Biggs, when he wants to do the Kardashian and I still do Max credential.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, are you going to be able to make it to this year's convention?
Which one?
Oh, okay,
Well, Las Vegas. It's Star Trek in
Las
Vegas.
Vegas one.
We only care about the Star Trek Las Vegas convention here.
I haven't been contacted yet, but hopes are high. Last year, I was there and had a chance to work again with Michael Westmore, which is always a bucket list thing to do. And I was thrilled to do it, and he wants to do it again.
Nice. Very
So
nice.
I know that you do the makeup for the actors at the conventions, but if somebody wanted to hire you to do their own makeup, like a convention goer, is that something that you offer?
You'll find me in the dealer room, and I got a table set up there, and somebody wants to get into makeup, if I have the appliance that they're looking for, yeah, we'll put them into makeup.
Very
Okay.
cool.
So, I was just saying, I've never been a Klingon before because I don't really know anything about, creating that forehead out of latex. People can buy those from you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So how
There
would
you
they
go.
do that? What's your website? How does somebody order something like that from you?
I don't have a website. You can find me on Facebook.
Okay. Great. Maybe we'll be Klingons this summer.
No, yeah. Well, I still have my
Yeah.
forehead, so yeah. I
Oh, your forehead from the experience, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, so I'll start working on an outfit. Maybe I'll be Baitor or the Chancellor's daughter from Star
Oh.
Trek 6.
Oh yeah,
That would be
Oh,
fun.
Yeah. As it were. Cool. What other projects have you got coming up?
Oh, I've been in the studio making things. I had a call from somebody. Well, they messaged me on Facebook and said, um, I want the wedding crown that Worf and Dax wore in the
Oh,
episode
nice.
of DS9. Can you do those? And I said, well, I don't know. I've never done it. Let me look. And I got a couple of pictures, and I said, this is not a problem. I'll do that. So I made them a wedding crown, and then she decided she wanted the necklace and the belt for the wedding dress. And I said, well, I'll see what I could do, and I did them. And been making, here and there some other props, some other pins, um, things that you don't normally find, or things that you do find that maybe from a different source cost a little more. And I figured out a way to bring the cost down.
Very cool. So you're basically working from like photo references and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Where might people find you next? If not Las Vegas in the beginning of August.
Well, I know in June I'll be going back to Riverside, Iowa. They have Trek days there. They're on. They have a website up, TrekFest. I think it's called TrekFest.org or .com. I'm not sure which one it is. But I'd have to look. I get a memory like a screen door in a submarine. So if I don't write things down, they just go away. And then I believe I'm going back to Philly in what is it? April.
Nice. So, do you consider yourself a Trekkie? Are you a Star Trek fan or just a Star Trek makeup
Yeah.
artist?
Oh yeah. I'm a fan. Sure. When I was a kid, I watched the original, and when Next Gen came out, I thoroughly enjoyed that. DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. They're all fun. They're all fun. They're all entertaining. I haven't been up to date on any of the other ones. I don't have the time. So I just revel in what I saw before, and I know that it keeps growing, and Star Trek is not going anywhere except to
Right.
continue on into the future.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Sure.
I always love seeing you at the convention. Like you'll just walk by and like, "Hi, Goldie," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, was that John Paladin? He just said hi to me."
Oh man. Oh, I'm nobody special. I just a fan makeup artist that got lucky and got a chance to work with people that we watched on TV, and I'm thrilled with it. It's fun to do. It's just a great experience, no matter what con it is, or how big it is, or how small it is, or who's running it. It just there's wonderful camaraderie in Trek anyway, and it carries
Absolutely.
over to every aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, last year, I don't even think I really went to the convention proper. I just kind of hung out at the Rio with all my friends that were happened to be in town because of the convention. I think I went one day.
I wasn't going to go, but a friend of mine was like, "You can't not go to the Star Trek convention."
Yeah.
So she gave me a free pass.
Yeah.
So last year I got in free, so that was exciting.
Yeah.
I had an all access pass to everything, and I really just hung out in the vendor's room most of the time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's always exciting when you can save some money.
Exactly. Yeah, those tickets are not cheap.
Yeah.
But I did one of the higher end tickets one year, a couple years, and it was actually really worth it. I was kind of thinking about doing that again. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But as somebody
The
who's
Vegas Trek Vegas is always worth it. There's so much to do at the convention there, and you're not really disappointed. Something always turns up that's exciting. Someone is always there. You never know who you're going to run across walking up and down the hallway. So it's just a fun few days to get away from it all and go and have a great time.
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Vegas is so accessible. So we
Yeah.
get people from all, I mean, I've made friends from all over the world at the Star Trek Las Vegas convention. I know people in Australia and Sweden and
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, it knows no bounds, and people just it's almost like a pilgrimage for a lot of people, and that's great. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you said you've been doing it for about 15 years. I've been doing it for about 15 years too, just as a convention goer. And it's interesting to see how the convention has evolved over time. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Well, I've been working with the actors for about 15 years, but I've been doing makeup long before that. So it's
okay.
God, it's over 25, 26 years now doing that. I don't know. My math could be wrong. I actually started doing makeup seriously in 1990. So,
And so what was your first big project when you became a makeup artist?
uh, the first thing that I ever wanted to do as far as makeup goes, and this is before any of it, I was a fan of Beauty and the Beast. I
Oh,
loved
interesting.
that TV show. And I understand that everybody's, it's a chick show. No, it isn't. It's just it's entertaining on so many different levels anyway. And the Vincent makeup just was fascinating to me. And I finally found a place that had a lion face prosthetic that looked like what they did with Perman. And boy, did I work at it and work at it and work at it. And I think somewhere in my photo albums on Facebook, there's a picture of that. And I think it came out pretty good. Um, Linda Hamilton liked the way it looked. So I've worked with her at a convention in Europe one time and showed her that. And she says, yeah, it's really good. And that was one of the first makeups that I ever did. When I was in radio, I did a Spock um, thing for Halloween promotion. And I did a whole, the radio station said, okay, we're going to pay for it. Get your face cast and have them sculpt up a Spock and then and go from there. And then we'll put you at a couple of different places for Halloween to promote the radio station. And that was a really interesting experience because I'd never done anything like that. The sculpt was not as close to looking like Leonard Nimoy as I would have liked, but you know, when you're first starting out, you get what you can get, and it came out pretty good. It looked okay, but that's where it all really kicked in, and then I think after that, I tried to put together a Skeletor, and that went to hell in a handbasket real quick. But it was fun to try, fun to do, and that's how all that began.
Nice. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
The first time I ever did any kind of convention makeup was a major disaster. It was terrible. A friend of mine and I decided to be Orions, and I basically knocked on her door first thing in the morning. We stayed at the Sahara Hotel side by side, and I had like a bottle of champagne, and we had green hairspray, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orion is a interesting makeup to do because you're green all over, and I've done a couple of the quote unquote Orion slave girls, and I had never done body painting before, and Paramount or CBS said that we want you to go to I think it was. What was Comic-Con? The big Comic-Con in West Coast. San Diego Comic-Con? Is that it? Yeah. And do all the street performers who are going to be promoting the new Star Trek series, Star Trek Discovery. And I was more nervous about painting the Orion slave girl than she was being painted. But it turned out great. It was fabulous, and she enjoyed it, and I was so happy that the makeup worked. And then we did it again in Toronto. So the more you do, the more experience you get. You keep at it, and you keep doing the makeup, and it's just a fun thing to do. It's a fun project. It's just fun activity. Everybody, I try to do the makeup as close to set as time allows, and as much as my experience allows me to do it. And I think for the most part, it works out really good.
Yeah.
That's great.
How long does it usually take you to do, for instance, a Klingon makeup?
I could do it coming on in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Our makeup and costume, start to finish, was about an hour and a half. But that was also getting into it, and I also had to last for the whole day. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good time. It used to take when I was in a fan club. It used to take me a lot longer.
Yeah.
But I knew a lot less, and the appliances that I had at that time were not hot foam, which is what they use on the set. It was a different quality, and boy, I out of all the people in our club, I would never leave my hotel room unless I looked as close to set as possible for the experience that I had at the time.
Yeah.
That's how keyed in I was with it. And the more I did it, the more I learned, the more I figured out, the more, just, I mean, everybody has a different agenda when they get into a character and go to a convention. Some people just go there and say, well, I'm just going to slap on a forehead and then I'm going to go drink, which is fine. It's great. Everybody has a different mindset on what they want to do, how they want to look, and how they want to portray themselves at a convention.
Yeah.
And you got to give them, every one of them, credit for doing what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope we see you in August. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll schedule an appointment with you. You can paint me to be a Klingon.
All right. That'll be great. I hope to see you there. I hope I get to go.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me. And it was a lot of fun being on with you.
Yay, I'm glad you liked it.
All right. Take care.
Come
Thanks
on.
again.
Live long and prosper. Oh,
Drop dead and fist.
okay. Live long and prosper. I don't know. That got cut off.
Yeah.
Well, they're different characters.
Yeah. There we go. Alrighty.
Well, thanks again. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I just want to point out that we have the Nerd logo on our screen right now. So we want to give a shout out to the Nerd. They are having our watch party. They do that every month. So hello, what's up, y'all? If you haven't been to the Nerd, it is very cool. They have bowling alleys. They do Micro Mania, which is like little people wrestling. They had like the little women this weekend, I believe. It looks like we're kind of getting infested with tribbles.
The tribbles are not happy to be around me.
Do we have some triticale or what? Quadriticale?
Yeah.
They must have jumped in the cookie jar. I don't know.
Yeah, that or Pringles maybe. I don't know.
Possibly. So we were kind of talking about some of our favorite episodes of Star Trek. I had mentioned the series premiere of Enterprise and Discovery. This is not a Klingon episode, but one of my favorite episodes, which is one of my favorite series finales, is the series finale of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Oh, yeah.
Where Odo rejoins the Link. I think it's so, oh my gosh. When he puts on the tuxedo and says goodbye to Major Kira and just like melts into the Link, it's just like, oh my God, it gets me. Like every time I always cry.
Yeah.
And then my all-time favorite episode, the episode that I think is the best Star Trek episode ever made, was the series finale of Star Trek Picard.
Oh, the most recent one.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I know that there were some fans that didn't really like the direction of Picard, and to those people, I would say, if you haven't seen season 3, see, this one's trying to get me. If you haven't seen season 3 of Picard, give it a shot. It basically is kind of what everyone wanted. I kind of like the first 2 seasons of Picard.
I think Star Trek
introducing
Picard,
those characters.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's one of those situations that it's like it's so different.
Yeah.
That it's like, wait, what's going on here? But like on the other hand, when J.J. Abrams brought back Khan, I was like, are there not any new stories that we can tell?
Yeah.
And that's what Picard is. It's new stories.
Yeah.
And then everything comes full circle, and the series finale is just phenomenal. I was bawling, and then I would cry. Then I would laugh. But also, I want to point out my real estate information is up there.
Oh.
So if you want to buy a house from a Trekkie, let me know.
There you go.
But I also want to give a shout out to everybody on TikTok. We're live on my TikTok channel, GoLive.Vegas. You can also watch the show on GoLive.Vegas TikTok channel as well. But anyway, yeah, that's my real estate information, Goldsmith Realty Group, where your dreams are golden.
There you go.
So I specialize in properties in the greater Las Vegas Valley.
That's awesome. Yes. Not only am I co-host, I'm also a client.
Yes, hopefully we will find you the dream home.
Indeed.
That you are seeking.
Yeah.
So you also have you're on another podcast.
Yeah.
And that's been up on our screen a little bit here and there.
Yep. If you saw it, it's Geek Shock. You can find it at www.geekshockpodcast.com. It is a raucous, not safe for work podcast of all things geeky. And sometimes we go off on huge tangents about things. We have a few regular segments. What geeky things did you do this week? Where anyone who's on the podcast, we kind of talk about what geeky things we did that week.
Mine would always be I watched Star Trek. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I watched Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Here's some of our meet the cast, some of our special guests, sometimes semi-regulars. And then that's kind of the podcast. If you go up a little bit. Oh yeah, that's it. That's the regular cast. Master Torgo, 80s Jeff, Commander K, Vlarg, who used to be a Ferengi at Star Trek: The Experience. Commander K there used to be an Andorian, and 80s Jeff was one of our bartenders.
Okay, I was about to ask. He used to do the Ugly Couch show too,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. And Professor. I'm known as Professor Biggs there because I until fairly recently taught theater at various community colleges in Southern California. But yeah, it's crazy. Besides what geeky things did you do? We have what's our rating on this particular podcast?
Oh,
anything goes? Awesome. One of our segments is news you don't give a shit about. Which is geeky stuff that's sort of in the bad news or why does anyone care about this realm? And then our I see. And then the Weekend Geek is kind of our big news segment on there.
Nice.
But we also have other segments, Red Light, Green Light, in which we talk about upcoming series as if they were pitches for the upcoming series, and then we vote on which one we give a green light to, and then the fans send in fake pitches too, and so we vote for which ones we want to be a real show, and then we also try to figure out which is the fake pitch. And almost invariably, the one that we want to be a real TV show is the fake. Our fans are smarter than TV executives, basically. And, there's another segment, too, that I can't remember. Oh, our newest one is Barry Steamers, where Dr. Vlarg, we give him a very short, vague description of a video game and make him choose which one of three he wants to play, and then he'll come back with a report.
So is that a monthly podcast?
Weekly.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
okay.
Usually every Friday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to tune in.
Oh yeah. It's
By
crazy.
Friday night, I'm usually someplace.
Yeah. Well,
out
that's
having
the
cocktails.
good news is. Oh yeah. What's funny is ever since I moved to Vegas, because I lived in Southern California, I'm spoiled by Vegas because there is, even though people that live in Vegas go, oh, it's way out there. I'm like, way out there. Vegas tip to tip is like 20 miles. That's a trip to Ralph's for me.
Yeah.
That's a trip to the grocery store for me. So even though everything's nice and convenient, I only listen to podcasts when I'm driving in the car, so I don't have time to catch up on podcasts.
Yeah, I'm never in the car for very long. I
Yeah.
live 4 minutes from work.
Mm-hmm.
I live a mile from the Strip, a couple miles from downtown. Like, I'm never in the car that much.
Yeah. Whereas, I remember when we first moved here in 97, and we'd be listening. I moved here with two other guys at the Experience from L.A., and we'd be listening to the morning report, traffic report, and they're like, oh, there's a huge delay in the spaghetti bowl. It's a 15-minute delay, and we're like, 15 minutes. That's an on-ramp.
Right? Yeah, I used to live in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was like the traffic in Nashville is comparable to Los Angeles traffic.
Yeah.
But here it's not so bad.
No.
I hardly even get on the freeway in general, so.
Yeah.
Well, we also want to talk a little bit about some opportunities for our viewers and listeners to get involved with the podcast. We are hosting an art contest. We want to see your fan art, okay? And so if you would like to create something, we will judge it and decide what art is the best. And we are the prize is basically that your art will be displayed at the Nerd in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street and Las Vegas Boulevard. And we will unveil that piece of art at our Alien Prom, July 31st, which is the Wednesday before the Star Trek convention. So if you are planning a trip to Las Vegas for the Creation Entertainment Star Trek convention at the Rio, make sure that you get here on Wednesday so that you can come to the Alien Prom on Wednesday nights. We are going to crown a king and queen, and we're also going to have costume contests. Okay, and then we're going to have a rock and roll band, maybe led by a Klingon. We'll see what John says. Maybe he'll help me be a Klingon.
Oh, indeed.
So the band was my band, Goldie.Vegas and the Playboys. We're going to play some classic rock, AC/DC, Joan Jett, that kind of stuff. So we'll be rocking out at the Nerd that night. So that is July 31st. We don't have tickets up yet, but it is coming soon. So do we have people in the chat? Let's go to the chat. Let's see if we have people in the chat. We can do our raffle. We're going to open up the phone lines, okay? And we have some trivia questions.
We do.
Yeah. If you can call the number on the screen and chat with us. Press 1 when you call in for the studio. We're in the studio here at GoLive.Vegas. You can download the GoLive.Vegas app where they play 80s music 24 hours a day. We were listening to it as we were getting ready, and it's a really great mix. I enjoyed it myself. I like 80s music a lot.
Yeah,
You know, I graduated high school. I don't want to tell you, but I graduated high school during the grunge era, so 80s music was always better for me than grunge. So should we wait a minute for the trivia?
Maybe. I didn't tell you my favorite Star Trek.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah. And it's one that anytime I visited Vegas, I would get in touch with with our friend Vernon, and we'd have a watch party over at our friend Kirsten's place, where I'm staying now, and it would almost invariably end up with watching either of Jaws, personal favorite of all three of ours, or the Doomsday Machine from the original series. To the point where, when the scene would come up, usually as a chorus, we'd go, "Don't you think I know that? It was, but not anymore." That scene. Yeah. William Wyndham playing Decker, and the character, there is no third planet. He goes, "Don't you think I know that? There was, but not anymore." So, yeah.
Yeah, so did you see Of Gods and Men?
I've not seen it yet.
That's fresh on my mind because I was watching it today. And there's so much star power in that movie. And I forgot what I was going to say. You said something that made me think of Gods and Men.
Decker, Doomsday Machine.
I don't know. I'll think of it. I'll think of it in a minute.
It was, but don't you think I know that?
I've also been watching a lot of TNG.
Mm-hmm.
And, Worf is a very important character in that series.
Absolutely.
So,
and speaking of Picard, I loved what they did with Worf in season 3 of Picard.
Yeah.
That like Zen warrior type of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's Michael Dorn, I believe he is on more Star Trek episodes than any other actor in history, right?
Yeah. He's actually played. He has more airtime as a Star Trek actor than any other, including original series, even with the movies.
Yeah, and I think Cole Meany is maybe right behind him.
Yeah, very close.
Well, they were both on TNG and DS9.
Right.
Which DS9, like I said before, DS9 made me a Trekkie. And then when Voyager came out, I just loved Captain Janeway so much that Captain Janeway became my favorite captain.
Yeah.
I just think that, she faced such adversity and just really stayed true to her morals and the Prime Directive.
Yeah, with some people would say with the possible exception of the Tuvix episode.
Yeah, I know that was very controversial,
Yeah.
Tuvix.
Yeah.
And there was, Lower Decks had a similar episode recently where they went to the Voyager Museum.
Yes. Yeah.
And then basically all hell breaks loose and they
Yeah.
all turn into one giant blob, like Tuvix blog.
Yeah, because they keep sending each other through the transporter. Oh, it's hilarious. If for those of you who aren't watching the new stuff, because who knows why, you got to give Lower Decks a shot. It's animated, but man, does it have... First of all, it's hilarious. And second of all, they do such great deep cuts into Trek lore and make it funny and make it about something. And it's... When I told somebody, I said, yes, it's a comedy. It's a Star Trek comedy. But it's still Star Trek. I mean, it still, has that underlying, optimism about the future. Yeah. And the Starfleet characters, basically, you can tell they're in Starfleet, but they're just frustrated or they're trying to fix themselves as much as they're trying to fix the galaxy.
And then the crossover episode with Strange New Worlds when they, the actors from Lower Decks crossed over into a live action episode. That was very cool too.
I loved it. I loved that both sets of characters commented on the conventions of the other show and everything. Boimler and Mariner talking about, they talk so slow here. And then at the end, spoiler alert for Strange New Worlds, the cast of Strange New Worlds has some sort of, is it Andorian? Some kind of drink, anyway, that makes them kind of hallucinate a little bit so that they're animated. They then look like Lower Decks characters. And they're like, why are our eyes really big? Anyway, it's hilarious, I think. You be the judge.
Yeah, and, Strange New Worlds is a series that definitely, Star Trek purists really enjoy Strange New Worlds because it's definitely the closest to what, Trekkies, people who consider themselves true. I think true Trekkies like all of Star Trek, but some people think, I only like TOS.
Yeah. The one true Trek thing, forget it, guys. It's all a fictional universe, and of course there's differences in each one.
But Strange New Worlds is a really great series.
Oh, I love it.
And one of the things that I really like is and this is something Paramount did recently that I noticed, they now have Star Trek according to timeline. Mm-hmm. Which they didn't have that before.
Right.
So I was trying to watch everything per timeline, and so I started with the original series. Well, no, Enterprise and the original series. Then the first 2 seasons of Discovery, and then Strange New Worlds is a direct spin-off from the end of the second season.
Yeah.
So if you watch it that way, if you watch Star Trek Discovery the first 2 seasons, and then watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds, it's a continuation.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool.
It's very cool. And, they do the same thing with the Marvel Universe over on Disney, too.
Yeah, that's when I started watching the Marvel stuff, and it was like timeline orders. Maybe it was Star Wars. I can't remember. I was like, why doesn't Paramount do this with Star Trek? And now they have. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, okay. It's so much Trek to watch.
It's again, people are going to like something. They're not going to like something. That's fine. But, boy, is it... when it hits like Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, it is boom. And season 3 of Picard, God, I just love that season.
That was insane.
Because again, they made use of a lot of the characters that they'd introduced in the first 2 seasons, like Michelle Hurd's character, Rafi, then teamed her up with Worf, and that was a great team.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, but you don't get that character unless you watch the first 2 seasons. Anyway.
And then they haven't. There's been some rumors about a follow-up to Picard, but it hasn't been confirmed.
No, it's still in the rumor category, and in fact, some of the cast has said Star Trek, what they're calling Star Trek Legacy, will only happen if the fans kind of demand it.
So let's start a letter writing campaign.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, you'd write letters with a pen and some paper.
Yeah, mimeographed
I remember
forms.
when my so-called life went off the air. I was like, I'm going to write a letter about this.
Yeah. Well, Strange New Worlds only happened because everyone loved Anson Mount's version of Pike.
Yeah.
On Discovery.
Oh, Strange New Worlds is so good.
Yeah.
I like Prodigy, but I guess maybe Netflix is picking up Prodigy?
Netflix has got Prodigy, and I believe the 2nd season just dropped.
Oh, nice. Well, I don't have Netflix. But before all of the recent series, I have new favorites. But before all of that, the animated series was one of my all-time favorite series because they had the first season of TOS, and then it got canceled, and then they made an animated series because it was cheaper. And then
not quite.
No, I thought it was TOS season 1, then the animated series, and then TOS 2 and 3. No.
No.
Oh, well, you would know. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah. Back in my day. Yeah, it was the first 3 seasons of TOS.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Then 3 years go by, and basically Filmation Studios, or was it NBC or CBS, wanted, because by that time the original series had started playing in syndication, and the ratings went through the roof in syndication.
Oh, okay.
And that's when Star Trek really took off.
Yeah.
And somebody now that's the thing I can't remember, CBS or NBC I believe, was like, oh, well, maybe we could do a cartoon series. And I mean, there's all kinds of behind the scenes shenanigans about it. Like they only wanted to use Shatner and Nimoy and DeForest Kelley and maybe James Doohan because he could do all these different voices, and Majel Barrett.
Yeah, I was about to say Majel Barrett did a lot of different voices on that series.
And I think it was Nimoy that said, "Nuh-uh, you got to get at least Nichelle Nichols and George Takei in there too."
Nice.
And they were like, and so of course Chekhov is the Walter Koenig was a little bit left out, except he was able to write some of the episodes.
Nice.
Yeah. So that came out in the early 70s, and then the dark time came when there was no Trek.
Right.
No new Trek.
Well, speaking of Star Trek the Animated Series, I don't know, you probably do know this, but I've had to point it out to a few people, that there is a scene in one of the J.J. Abrams movies that is word for word out of Star Trek the Animated Series.
Oh, which one is that?
Okay, so it's when Spock is in the little learning bubble and the boys come to bully him.
Uh-huh.
I was watching that movie in the theater. I was like, this is TAS.
Oh, the Yesteryear episode where with the giant Sealot? When he goes on the
it's like a quest or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just I don't have a very good memory in general, but I remembered that and I was like, whoa, that's cool that J.J. Abrams has gotten a lot of hate from Star Trek purists.
Purists and Star Wars purists.
And but I always like to point out is that J.J. Abrams, he really did try to take from the original series and the animated series, which the animated series I feel like for a long time people just forgot about.
Right, because I think because it was animated, the conventional wisdom was that only the live action shows were quote unquote canon.
Okay.
And then, which how do you have canon if it's a fictional universe? But anyway, that's beside the point. And so it really wasn't until fairly recently that people were like, no, there's some good ideas in that animated series.
I did a cosplay out of TAS.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, we're both from Arkansas, but he lives in Phoenix and I live in Vegas, so we met each other at the Star Trek convention.
Awesome.
And he never does cosplay. And he's like, Goldie, I want to do cosplay, but I'm only going to do cosplay on 2 conditions. Is that you'll do it with me, and that it's so obscure that nobody's going to know what it is. And I was like, I have the perfect thing. And so we were the Aquans. Whoa.
Man,
Tribbles are falling from the ceiling now.
Oh,
But we
boy.
were the Aquans from an episode of TAS, and we got these green body suits, and I painted or I sewed webbed fingers and made us our little outfits. And so the night before, Matt got wasted, drunk at the Pioneer Saloon, shows up at the Star Trek convention. It's 120 degrees outside, and I put him in like a full body suit with like a hole for a mouth and 2 little holes for the eyes. We stood in line for at least an hour, if not longer, to pre-qualify for the big cosplay costume contest. And we got on stage, and they're like, "You didn't make this." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? I stayed home on a Friday night in Vegas to sew these fingers." So they're like, "Okay, that's fine. You can be in it."
Yeah.
As soon as we got out of that judging, Matt went to the bathroom and puked. Came back with the costume in his hand. He's like, "I cannot do this." So then my buddy Anthony Kwan walks up. He's like, "Goldie, what's going on?" I was like, "Well, I just qualified for the costume contest, but my partner can't do it." And he's like, "I'll do it."
Yeah, there you go.
So just like random. So do we have people in the chat? No. Is there anybody on my live? I don't know. I can't see. I don't think we have a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just throw these questions out to the universe.
Exactly, because I worked hard on these.
Yeah. I sat at Blueberry Hill today eating a sandwich, writing these down. I was like, "Oh, I forgot to do my things." And I'm like, "Well, I could just make some stuff up." Okay. So we'll go back and forth. Okay. So my first one is, what was the name of the Klingon penal colony Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy were sentenced to in Star Trek 6?
Oh, I know.
Okay, well, we don't have anybody else to answer.
Oh yeah, we don't have. Oh yeah. Okay.
We don't have, so you got to answer mine. I'll answer yours.
You guys are left
scared of
out.
your question.
We'll do our own. There's an interesting thing about this about Rura Pente.
Okay.
I just watched the Disney version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Uh-huh.
That's where Captain Nemo was held captive.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rura Pente. And I was like,
that's my favorite
Captain
TOS
Nemo
movie.
is a Klingon? What's
That's my favorite TOS movie. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Star
going to
Trek
ask
6.
a really hard question, and I'm not going to know the answer.
Oh yeah. That was. I was like, these are kind of hard. Oh well, we'll go back and forth in difficulty level here. In the episode,
Oh, goodness. Ah!
why didn't we hunt these to extinction when we had the chance? Oh, you know what? I do need a toupee though. There.
It's perfect.
Now me and Shatner have hair. Yeah, see, it's always mad at me. All right. In the episode, Day of the Dove, Kang says the Klingons have no devil. While this may be strictly true, they do have a devil analog who tortures dishonored Klingons in Grethor. What is it called?
Well, they don't have a devil because Kahless killed the devil, right?
The first Klingon and his mate rose up and killed their
devil.
creators. Yeah.
Oh, they're creators. Okay. No idea. Sorry. I have in fact, I'm getting a new college degree because I'm so scared I'm losing my mind. To be like, maybe if I go to school, my memory will be better. We have tribbles invading.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the answer? I have no idea.
The Feklar.
The Feklar. Okay. Say it again.
The Feklar.
No. What is the Feklar?
Oh, the Feklar is basically the Klingons' devil analog.
I already forget. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you another one of my easy questions. In which episode was the first Klingon death ritual observed by outsiders?
Oh, by outsiders.
Yes, by non-Klingons.
Was it? It wasn't Code of Glory. Wait, Heart of Glory was.
Heart of Glory.
All right.
TNG is such a great episode, and it's early in the series.
Yeah.
And what I thought was very interesting about that episode was that Captain Picard is on the bridge, and he's talking to maybe Riker and Data, and he was like, "Oh, I just don't understand why they would roar or whatever." And Data explains to them that he says something like, "It was a warning to the afterworld,
to
Stovacor, that a new warrior will be arriving soon," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Data explains that that's the first time outsiders have ever witnessed the Klingon death ritual. Like, what an amazing character Data was to like really progress storylines and get those ideas across.
Yeah, that's anyone who writes television, writes good fiction. it's one of the things I love about the original series is, you have the man of action, Kirk, that cannot act until he first listens to his head, Spock, and his heart, McCoy.
Oh, I never heard about that before.
Yeah.
Is that a thing, or you just made it up?
I sort of kind of made it up decades ago, but everyone else has made the same observation. So
That's
did I make it up?
That's a cool observation. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought about it that way. But.
Yeah.
Okay, give me
All right.
another hard one.
All right. Speaking of Heart of Glory,
Yes.
this actor has the distinction of playing the most species in Star Trek and played one of the first Next Generation Klingons, Chorus, in the episode Heart of Glory. I'm terrible.
Yeah. No, I have no idea.
Vaughn Armstrong
Vaughn Armstrong. Okay.
played Admiral Forrest in Enterprise.
Yeah, Admiral Forrester. I've hung out with him a few times at the Shutter Bar, the Shutter Lounge.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Casey Biggs and I are cool, and he's always hanging out with Vaughn Armstrong.
Yeah.
And that was we've had this conversation before about, the Klingons are very Shakespearean.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a monologue by one of those Klingons in that specific episode where he's in the warp core, like on the second floor of the warp core, and he's doing like some like monologue that's I was like, I'm watching Shakespeare like right now.
Yeah, the casting directors for that sort of Next Generation era, Ron Serma in particular, were always looking for actors that knew Shakespeare, because their idea was if you can make Shakespeare understandable to a modern audience, you can certainly handle the technobabble in Star Trek.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Kate Mulgrew always talks about is how technical the language in Star Trek Voyager was.
Yeah.
And I think they even hired like a...
Well, she took it upon herself. Well, they did.
She went through some kind of training with...
Yeah, after the first season of Voyager is a short season. And she just got so frustrated with it that she made an appointment to go to Caltech.
Okay.
And talk to the astrophysicists and other scientists there, and said, I have got to know what I'm talking about here, because even if I get the syllables out, you can tell people that are just saying words versus people that actually understand what they're talking about. She says, I have got to understand what it is I'm talking about.
And that's
and
why
I was
she's
like,
the best captain. No.
And I did. I saw that interview, and I was like, well, good for you, Kate Mulgrew. That's awesome.
Okay, so here's a really, 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 really easy one. In what episode did Klingons first appear?
Oh, Errand of Mercy.
Yes. TOS Season 1, Episode 26.
Yes.
You're like, duh.
No, that's cool. See, this is what my questions are. This is that professor background coming.
Yeah,
through.
no, that's good. It's good.
And actually, this should give some folks that may be watching for the future. It's like, yeah, brush up.
Yeah, because we have a prize. We're trying to give away a prize tonight.
Yeah.
The prizes are, we have a Klingon commemorative plate of the Klingon bird of prey. It's hard to see because the Tribbles are taking over the studio.
Boy, the Klingons are not happy about that.
Okay, so give me your hard question.
All right. Well, you might actually know this one.
Okay.
Because you're a Deep Space Nine fan.
Okay, it's been a while since I saw Deep Space.
All right.
I'm like a goldfish sometimes.
Okay. What 3 original series Klingons appeared in Deep Space Nine episode Blood Oath?
Okay, I'm just going to guess because I don't know for sure. Worf. Okay.
Well, I mean, Worf does, but yeah, he's not the original series.
Gowron.
Original series.
Oh, original series. No clue. I have no idea.
I bet you do.
No.
Kor, Koloth, and Kang.
Kor, Koloth, and Kang. Yeah, I don't have them memorized.
Yeah.
They were only in 3 episodes. Okay, and what Star Trek... Oh, this is so easy. Okay.
That's fine.
Stupid. And what Star Trek movie did Christopher Plummer play a Shakespeare-quoting Klingon?
Well, you don't know Shakespeare until you've experienced it in the original Klingon.
Exactly.
That would be General Chang.
Exactly. Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, this one you should know.
Okay.
Because you've already
We'll see what
mentioned-
happens.
you've
Hey,
already
I
mentioned
have
at
won
least-
Star Trek trivia competitions. I got invited to a friend of mine was going to a Star Trek party, and he said he asked if he could bring a friend.
Yeah.
And the hostess was like, "Yeah, sure, bring your friend." So like he invited me, and I showed up in like some shorts and a Star Trek T-shirt, and everybody else had on uniforms. And I walked in, and they're looking at me like, "Who is this?"
Oh boy!
Like they were all being like snobby and looking down on me. And then when it came time to have the Star Trek trivia game, I won the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Did you?
I'm good at it sometimes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think it also depends on how recently you've watched the episodes.
Yeah.
Because I used to be great at it, and now it's like, some of these things. I was like, wait a minute, who was that? And I just had to look it up.
Okay, shoot it.
All right.
Shoot me your question.
All right. The Klingon Civil War in Next Generation era was between which two houses?
Okay, Duras and Gowron.
That's it.
Oh, got one!
Ding, ding, ding,
I
ding.
won the plate that I brought myself. No. Okay.
Dabo!
Dabo! When did the second iteration of Klingon makeup appear? Because the Puerto Ricans in TOS, and then it would be the second iteration would be the clamshell forehead.
Yeah. Motion picture.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we knew you knew that one. So.
Yeah. Well, that's because I just did the research. Too. Here's a little trivia thing. Well, it's not that trivia because I can't ask you the question about it. Fred Phillips, who did the makeup for the original series, also did the makeup for the motion picture.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so he said, "Oh, you mean I've got a budget now? All right." So he and the costume designer Robert Fletcher are the ones that came up with the bony forehead thing. The original idea was the continuation of the spine coming up over the skull.
Yeah, you told me that recently, and I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. Of course, that's all gone the way of the dodo, but we did get the bumpy foreheads.
And then you said that they were also getting ideas from like crustaceans.
That was Michael Westmore when he took over the makeup designs for the Next Generation, et cetera, et cetera. He just would look up shellfish and all that and go, well, I think we can use that crab design there. I can sculpt that.
Yeah, and no two Klingons are the same.
Mm-mm.
The foreheads are all different. They're all unique to the individual.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right. Well, that's it for our show today, right?
You're not out of the park here.
Oh
One
no,
last
there's more questions.
Just one. What's the name of the Klingon commander in the Klingon encounter at Star Trek: The Experience? The character also appeared in the final episode of Voyager. Played by Von Armstrong, by the way.
No clue. No.
Korath.
Korath.
Fools, you will regret defying me.
Yes, that sounds familiar. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, if you joined our podcast today, we really appreciate y'all tuning in. Our next podcast will be the last Sunday of February. I think that's the 26th. I'd have to look at the calendar, but we're doing the last Sunday of every month. The Nerd will be hosting a watch party. So if you happen to be in Las Vegas and want to go to check out downtown Vegas, the Nerd is located inside Neonopolis on the corner of Fremont Street and Las Vegas Boulevard. And then, follow GoLive.Vegas on TikTok. Anything else? What else?
Watch for geekshockpodcast.com. We drop an episode every Friday.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've talked about is having a cosplay episode, so we might be in costumes.
I got some things in storage that need to.
All right, well, live long and prosper. Let's give a shout out to the Nerd. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Woohoo!
Kapla.
Indeed.